It's time for Dodger Baseball.
What's going on, Dodgers Nation? Doug McCain here. Welcome to the Dodgers Nation post-game show. After the Dodgers lose to the Pirates, they lose the series to the Buccos. Final score today, LA falls 6-2 to Pittsburgh. They now fall to 13-13 on the year. This Dodger team, they continue to just be mediocre. Win some, you lose some. This team just has not been able to get things going. The pitching has been a problem. The inconsistent offense has been a problem. Julio Urias did not have a great start. He did not look great at all today. We're going to break down his start. I'm going to tell you what I saw from him and what he needs to do to really get his season going. But first, let me know where you represent Dodgers Nation from today. Let me know down below in the comment section. If you haven't yet, if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. And I know the Dodgers lost, but still, this is your show. Some therapy. Smash that like button. As always, I'm looking for that comment of the day presented by our friends over at Hornitos. When I see that comment of the day, you're going to see one of these. Yeah, we can do multiple comments of the day. I want all your fire takes. Give me your hottest Dodger takes down below in the comment section. You're going to see one of these.
Fire take.
If you say something a little sus, a little out of pocket, you're going to get one of these.
Bruh.
And I'm also looking for that Dodger dog of the game. Well,
Dodger dog of the
I think I
game.
go to Victor Gonzalez, but let's jump into that comment section. We're going to break down today's game because it was not pretty in Pittsburgh. This Dodgers offense, they struggled all game long. They just could not figure things out at the plate. They got off to a good start in the first inning, but I mean, if you look at this Dodgers offense, 3 strikeouts, 4 strikeouts for James Outman. It's one thing I've been talking about last few shows is that those strikeout numbers are starting to trend in the wrong direction, but 13 strikeouts by the Dodgers hitters today, and combined, they just weren't able to get any big hits, any big rallies, anything going past that first inning. They score a measly 2 runs per game, and you saw they really got dominated by Keller's fastball. I mean, that fastball was dominating them, a four-seam fastball up in the zone. They struggle to catch up to his sinker, and they really, it's not like they were chasing too much. They just could not catch up to it. So, yeah, it was just not a pretty day for this Dodger team at the plate. Bottom of the 9th inning, they didn't do much. Another strikeout thanks to that four-seam fastball. 10 of the 13 strikeouts today by the Dodgers were at that fastball. They just had no answer for the heater today. But let's jump into the comment section. We're going to break everything down. We got some updates on JD Martinez, Will Smith, Brusdar Graterol, Max Muncy, and here we go. We got Keller, undefeated pitcher, Dustin Michael O'Hara. Yeah, I mean, his strikeout career high heading into this game was 10, but the Dodgers made him look like he was a better pitcher. The Dodgers just had no answer for his fastball, and it's definitely a concern because, look, when you face better pitching, especially deep into October, you're facing guys that have elite stuff, guys that can throw gas, and today, Keller, he allowed just 2 runs on 5 hits, had 10 strikeouts, 2 earned runs, just 1 walk. And then, of course, there's Julio Urias. Julio Urias, he did not look good today. He is not... The first inning woes kind of continued for him. He's just not being able to finish off hitters, and he's not having success with that fastball. And I think, I like to call him the Urias, but that's 2 bad starts in a row for Julio. And, yeah, I mean, he was cruising towards the middle. It was really just the first and the 6th where he got into trouble. What are you guys' thoughts on Julio Urias? Give me your thoughts down below. But here, let's jump to the comment section. Time for Barnes to retire. That's from Chris Davis. Look, Barnes really wasn't the Dodgers' problem today. I mean, Barnes, he got a leadoff single later in the game, and the Dodgers couldn't do anything with it. I mean, Austin Barnes is there to be a catcher first and foremost, to be a guy that handles the pitching staff, that really is Clayton Kershaw's personal catcher, not always, but look at the top of the 5th, Barnes had a leadoff base hit. It was a nice hit, 2-strike hitting there by AB, and what happens? You got the top of the order. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't muster up a run. Mookie strikes out on a breaking ball. Wow, the one time they didn't strike out on actually 2-3 times on a breaking ball today. Then Freddie, he gets out. Austin Barnes steals second, so the Dodgers being more aggressive on the base pass. And then Hayward, just a weak comebacker for the 3rd out. So they stranded Barnes there in the 5th inning. So he was able to really at least get some offense going. But, yeah, nothing doing. Dodgers make guys with 6 ERAs look like Cy Young candidate. That's from BC over on YouTube. Yeah, that's our first Hornitos comment of the day. A rare afternoon show for the Dodgers Nation postgame show. Take a nice crisp shot of Hornitos premium tequila. Please drink responsibly. We got Shohei Ohtani better. That's from Shohei Dodgers fans. Yeah, it's tough to debate that. Shohei Ohtani is, my opinion, the best player in the game. A once in a sport type player. But this is what happens when your team is full of other teams' rejects. That's from Casey Monat over on Facebook. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that. I think the couple things you need to consider for today, and like I said, I got some numbers I want to throw your way. We're going to talk about this game in a little more in depth, is that, look, I mean, Jason Hayward, that's who you're talking about. Hayward had a better day today, got a couple hits after struggling all season long. And let's start right there in the first inning, because it looked like it was going to be a positive day for the Dodgers. It looked like they were going to get off to a great start. You have your stopper, you have the Urias on the mound. You're feeling really confident about that, and you get off to a good start. You scored 2 runs in the first inning after Mookie drew a leadoff walk. Freddie flied out for the first out, and then Jason Hayward, he singled to right. Mookie went first to third, giving the Dodgers runners on the corners with 1 out. So definitely an encouraging sign early. Jason Hayward, who has been hitting the ball hard all season, whose expected batting average indicates that he should have seen better results so far. Well, hey, he was able to get a hit early and set the Dodgers up. Next batter, James Outman, who did not have a good day today. Probably James Outman's worst game of the season at the plate. Had multiple opportunities with runners in scoring position. He goes 0 for 2, and in that at bat, he strikes out swinging with a fastball up just outside of the zone. So one of the things that has helped James Outman get off to a good start is his pitch recognition, is the fact that he's not expanding the zone. And on that pitch right there, he offers that heater that was just up out of the zone, and that goes for the second out. Now on the play, Hayward did steal second. They didn't even make a throw, so that set the Dodgers up with runners on second and third. And next batter up, David Peralta, he singles up the middle to score Betts and Hayward to give the Dodgers an early 2-0 lead. Next batter, Chris Taylor, 1-2 pitch. He goes down swinging on a heater for the third out. So you get a base hit from Hayward. You get a base hit from Peralta. Hayward steals second to get another run. You're starting to feel good about it. You're starting to feel like this is a team that isn't relying on the slug. It's a team that's putting the ball in play, stealing bases, doing it the old-fashioned way. But unfortunately, they didn't score another run for the rest of this game. And that has been one of the big issues with this team. I don't think it is their number one fatal flaw or anything like that, but I do think if you want to point at something that is the biggest concern, it is the inconsistent offense. And we've seen them explode. We've seen them have multiple home run games. Guys hitting the guys having multiple home run games. We've seen guys go deep. We've seen them slug their way to big victories, but in losses, that is where they struggle, and the disparity is alarming at this point. If you look at this Dodgers offense, they've scored 2 runs or less now in 9 of 26 games. So 2 runs or less in 9 of 26 games for the Dodgers. They're hitting 171 in losses. That's second to last in all of Major League Baseball, averaging 2.75 runs per game. That's also last. If you compare that to wins, they're hitting 273, averaging 7.4 runs per game. So it is a big feast or famine, boomer bust offense for this Dodger team, and you saw that on display once again. And I think that is impacting the pitchers, because you're not seeing run support. You're not seeing pitchers go out there and pitching with the lead, and that was the case today. Now, I think someone like Julio Urias, he can still fare well in that situation, and he pitched a lot better when he was starting to command that fastball. But let's dive into the bottom of the first inning here, and before we do that, I want to get your opinions on Julio Urias, and I want your grade for Julio Urias. I don't know if I can call him the Urias right now. I think that he's going to turn around. He had some bad starts at the beginning of last season, and he still put together a Cy Young worthy season. So I still think he is going to get it together. I think for him, he's going to get himself into better shape. I think there's some fatigue out there that's forcing him to kind of miss that on some of that command, and we need him to start dotting that four-seam fastball and using that to play up that cutter, play up that slurve. But right now, the command has been off. But I want your thoughts on Julio Urias. So let's jump into the comment section, then we'll continue to break down this game, and we'll jump into the first inning. So, BC, it's embarrassing how much worse the offense is than most of Major League Baseball. Craig Osterberg. What's up, Craig? That home umpire was calling strikeouts of the zone on both sides. Yeah, I mean, that was not a good game for home plate ump. I mean, CB Buckner, I mean, you saw a couple of the times. I think the one that really cost the Dodgers was later in the game when James Outman, he struck out on that fastball with runners on the corners there. And he wasn't able to. That really, I think, cost him majorly. So we got Barnes got a hit. It's a miracle. We got Barney threw the ball away. That's from James Bostrom. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a great play by by Austin Barnes there in the bottom of the first. Let's look at that. So bunting it was a very bizarre first inning for the Dodgers. So bunting with 2 strikes. Marcano gets a base hit. You have an error on Barnes on the throw. And then Betts, he was playing a little off the line there, kind of is behind. He makes the throw, try to get to the third, but he was able to reach third base. So how many times are you going to see a guy, 1, bunting with 2 strikes, and then 2, ending up at third base? And that is exactly what happened. And the next batter, the newly extended Brian Reynolds on a 3-2 pitch. He singles to right to score Marcano to make it 2-1. So they immediately, bottom of the first, right away, are able to get one of those runs back. And then next batter, Andrew McCutchen, very aggressive first pitch. He singles to left. 3 straight singles for the Pirates to start the game. And then the Pirates pull off the double steal. And that is one of the most frustrating developments that we've seen with this team early on in the season. Teams do not respect the Dodgers when they're on the base pass. The Dodgers are very vulnerable, and you've seen teams take advantage all season long, and it continued today. And Julio Urias, he isn't bad at holding runners. We saw him get a pickoff later in the game when they picked off Castro. It was the first pickoff that the Dodgers had on the season, but that is something to definitely be concerned about because you have to make the adjustment. And I think if you look at this team, this team so far this season, last night, the Pirates stole 6 bases off the Dodgers. 12 stolen bases in the series. LA has allowed 38 stolen bases to start this year. That is the most by a Dodger team through 26 games since the 1914. Oh, wait, they weren't even called the Dodgers. They were the Brooklyn Robins. So, look, I mean, that just is attention to details. That is the lack of adjustment. That is the inability to adjust to new rules that are going to encourage base running. They're going to encourage base runners to be more active on the base pass. You got less dirt in between those bases. You got the pizza box bases. You have the engagement rules. And I just think maybe it's something that the Dodgers did not emphasize during spring training, something that the Dodgers did not think was going to be an issue. Well, it is an issue, and you're seeing not only are teams stealing on the Dodgers, more often than not, they are cashing in on those runs, and we saw it there in the bottom of the first inning. So they pull up that double steal, and I think, too, you're seeing that they're easily reading the pitchers. It's very simple. They come set, they deliver, and it's a cadence issue, I think. They are tipping off really when they're going to go to the mound, and I think teams are getting big jumps, and a lot of it has to do with the pitchers. So next batter, 0-1 pitch. Castro hits a sac fly to score Brian Reynolds to tie things up at 2. So there you go. You're already taking advantage of that stolen base. And then next batter, 1-2 pitch, 6th pitch of the at-bat. Sawinski gets a little blooper check swing single to left, and that makes it 3-2. So you score another run there, and then he strikes out Mathias on a fastball for the 3rd out. So the Pirates get 3 runs on 4 hits and an error. They capitalize on the stolen bases. Julio just isn't finishing off hitters. I mean, he was getting 2 strike counts, but is unable to put guys away. And I think a lot of that has to do with that fastball. I mean, the fastball so far this season, he just has not been as as effective with it. He's not dotting it. You're seeing him struggle with command, and also just the numbers they indicate. I mean, opponents are hitting 349 off his heater this season. The velocity is down to 92.5 miles per hour. I mean, we're talking about a few years ago, he was averaging over 94 on the fastball, so the velo is down, the command is off, and this is something that he really needs to focus on, because Julio, we know he has a slurve. We know he has a nice pitch mix, but without a well-located fastball, he's just not the same pitcher. Another thing that you have to consider, too, with Julio when evaluating him early on this season is some of these first-season woes. I mean, he's given up 6 runs in the first 6 innings of this season. There in the first inning, he has a 9 ERA in the first inning this season, and that's something that he had corrected in years past. So that's another thing to look at. So yeah, definitely not a good start for Julio, but a very odd development there with that bunt and just a lot of singles, a lot of death by paper cuts against Julio. But let's jump back to the comments here, continue to break down this game. The Dodgers, they fall to the Pittsburgh Pirates. They lose the series to the Buccos. And this is a team that they were bad last year, and they gave the Dodgers fits. Well, they're actually a surprise team this year, and they're still having success against the Dodgers. But yeah, I mean, it's just very concerning. I mean, this team is just so middle of the road right now. And look, I mean, they're 13-13. They lost 6-2 today. They've won just 3 of the 8 series that they played this year. So this Dodgers team, they need to find a way to get rolling and turn the corner. And hopefully you're going to get guys back, and we got some updates on that in just a second. But leave Barnes alone. He ain't the problem. That's from Emar over on YouTube. I got jams. Remember when your Little League coach said don't swim before the game? Casey Monda says Barnes cannot throw a runner out, and he can't hit. He is occupying a roster spot doing jack shh. Yeah, look, with Austin Barnes, like I said, they signed him to that extension. This organization, they see the intangible benefits. He's seen as one of the leaders of this club. He's respected in that clubhouse for doing just that. And also, look, he's a guy that he has been respectable at the plate in the past few seasons, and it's not really about his offense. And you can't focus on a Austin Barnes. I mean, Austin Barnes is batting at the top of the lineup. That's like picking on the weak kid. I mean, come on, you got to focus on the real issue here. And the real issue is JD Martinez. He's out with a back injury. Will Smith, who should be back tomorrow. That's kind of the first update on this one, is Will Smith should be back tomorrow. He's taking live BPs. He's really on the mend. And Will Smith hopefully is going to be back. Will return. Will Smith, well, not tomorrow, probably back Saturday. So Saturday is really what they're shooting for with Will Smith. But Max Muncy and Brusdar Graterol for tomorrow. So, look, you want to slow play it a little bit with Will Smith, considering he's getting hit on the head on a foul ball multiple times in a game. But, look, he was the Dodgers' best and most dependable hitter to start this season. He's hitting .333. They need him back in the worst way. But, really, this offense, you can't fault Austin Barnes. I mean, look, he's going to take a lot of your punches, but still, you got to focus on the guys in the meat of this order that need to produce more. I mean, how could you give me more comments about Austin Barnes at the start of the season than Mookie Betts? I just don't understand that. I mean, Mookie Betts, after today, Betts goes 0 for 3. Mookie's hitting .233 on the season. Yes, Austin Barnes is hitting 79, but still, Mookie is supposed to be the $365 million superstar. He's hitting .233. Freddie Freeman did not have a good day. He got 1 hit. Jason Hayward was the only Dodger today to have multiple hits. He goes 2 for 3. But the rest of that, you got Alvin goes 0 for 4. Peralta went 1 for 4 with an RBI there in the first. Chris Taylor, he goes 0 for 4 with a strikeout. What I tell you the other day when people were saying CT3 is back, CT3 is back, I said it takes more than one game to get into a slump. It takes more than one good game to get out of a slump. So it's still a work in progress for him. Michael Busch, he goes 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. We'll talk about Busch in a little bit too. I didn't think he had his best day at the plate. First couple at bats for Busch, 2-2 pitch. He struck out on a fastball away. And then next at bat, a 3-2 pitch, struck out looking on a fastball at the top of the zone. Third at bat, he ends up grounding out early in the count. So you want to continue to see him take pitches and develop that way. But he looked a little out of sorts and disjointed at the plate today. But let's jump back in the comment section. We'll keep breaking this one down. 12 pickpockets. Hey, D-Mac. Hey, DKM. Craig Osterberg. Dodgers don't play little ball. They can't homer with this weak strikeout lineup. Yeah, today was really the best example of that because, look, this team, you didn't just get strikeouts. You had strikeouts in big situations when you did have an opportunity. If you look at the top of the third, Mookie lined out to start the inning for the first out, and then Freddie Freeman, he gets a one-out single. And then Jason Hayward, he follows that up with a single to right. Freddie goes first to third, giving the Dodgers runners on the corners with one out and James Outman at the plate. And here's a perfect example. Just like we saw in the first inning, Outman at the plate, runners on the corners, and in 2-2 pitch, Outman takes strike 3 on the inside corner. And on that one, look, I know you want to protect. I know with 2 strikes, you definitely have to probably get your bat on that ball. But still, it was clearly off the plate. And we're talking about how Buckner's, he had a really, really wide strike zone for both sides, but still, I mean, he strikes there, he strikes out there. And that was a golden opportunity. And then with 2 outs, David Peralta at the plate, he grounds to second for the 3rd out. So the Dodgers had runners on the corners with 1 out and could not capitalize. Strike 3 called to Outman. Outman, same situation. And that's a pitch we've seen him drive. That's a pitch we've seen him slug and rope to right for doubles or hit out. He just wasn't able to. It wasn't his best day at the plate. I mean, you're going to have those off days at the plate, but still, you got to have your middle of the lineup taking advantage of those types of innings and cash in when you got ducks on the pond. But let's jump back in the comment section. Urias needs to go to the bullpen. Alex Alvarez, that's a little much. Okay, yes, he was fantastic out of the bullpen in 2020 at a 0.00 ERA, put this team on his back. He was lights out, closed out NLCS Game 7, World Series Game 6, but no, absolutely not. Also, we saw him struggle in the NLCS in 2021. He is a starter. Come on now, let's stop with that. That's blasphemy out there. That's a fire take. And it's just too hot, okay? How is a DH injured? That's from Maximus and V. Yeah, I mean, JD Martinez, that is the issue right now. He felt something in his back, and the minute that Dave Roberts said that he was going to have him in the lineup for the next day, when Dave Roberts almost never gives you a timeline, that let me know that he's probably going to miss some time. Now, he's hoping that he can avoid an IL stint, but Doc said that he hasn't swung the bat in 3 days. They said he was going to be a little more active today, and that this injury has lasted longer than they originally expected, but hopefully he can avoid the IL, because that's something that you really need JD Martinez. You need him to be a run producer. And to answer your question, how can it be for a DH? Well, he swings a ton, and he swings daily. That's what he does. So probably tweak something. He's not the youngest of guys, a little long in the tooth at this stage of his career. So, yeah, that's just kind of what the case was there. So hopefully he avoids that IL stint, and he's back in there. And hopefully, yeah, that's a long flight back from Pittsburgh to L.A., so you don't want to see him on a plane making things worse. But, yeah, 23 games this season. He slashed .250, .306, and .534. And he leads the team with extra base hits, has 9 doubles and 4 home runs and 2 triples. So, yeah, that is a lot of production that you're losing. And, really, he put the extra base hits on his back to start the year. So, definitely you need JD Martinez back. And he's sorely being missed, as well as the National League Player of the Week in Max Muncy, as well as Will Smith. So, reinforcements are on the way. I think pitching is a much bigger concern right now. But let me ask you a question. What do you think is the biggest concern right now for this Dodgers team? Is it pitching? Is it starting pitching? Is it the bullpen? Let me know down below. Also, what is your big takeaway from the Dodgers' 6-2 loss to the Pirates and their series loss to the Buccos? Ryan Moore. We got High DK. We got Barney threw that ball away. Let's go back down to the comments here. Urias gets a D from Craig Osterberg. We got George L. missing the 3, 4, and 5 hitters. You can't expect that much. Dodgers will be fine when healthy and after a few trades. I needed that right now, George L. Look, I don't like to wake up on the wrong side of the bed and wake up cranky, but when you watch your Dodgers lose 6-2 in the morning, yeah, it's not a great way to start things up. So I'm going to give you one of my comments of the day. And this Dodgers offense, they were asleep today. And if you want a way to have the best sleep I got just the product for you. You guys have seen me have this on the Blue Heaven podcast, but check this out. The Manta Sleep. They make the world's best sleep mask and sleep accessories. Everything they do is to enable better lives through better sleep. They work relentlessly to improve and optimize sleep so that you can have the energy to live your best life. Check out mantasleep.com today so you can sleep better anywhere and anytime. So yeah, this Dodgers offense, they've been asleep. These Dodgers pitchers, when runners are on base, they've been asleep. But I'm telling you, this is a lifesaver. And what I like about it too is you put this on, you can fall asleep within minutes, man. I'm always taking naps in between shows. So definitely go to Manta Sleep. This thing is a must. But here we go. Yeah, he is. D-Mac. Julio got off to a bad start in the WBC. Hasn't been on top of his game at all in 2023. Yeah, I mean, he did get off to a rough start. I mean, you saw him give the home runs. You saw he was flirting with a perfect game early, but in his start with WBC. But yeah, do I think that's a factor? I personally do not. I think he came into spring training very built up and ready to go, but he just really hasn't found the command on that fastball. And I think I was hoping, one thing I was thinking about when he was going into the WBC and pitching for Mexico, which I think is fantastic, I was thinking, hey, hopefully that will get him in shape, get him ready to go, because with this pitch clock like it is, you got to be on that mound and you got to be ready to go. And he's a guy where when fatigue starts to set in, he starts to lose that command just a little bit. The velocity drops just a little bit. And so far to start this year, command's been down and the velocity has been down. And if you look at Julio on the day, he ends up allowing 6 earned runs on 7 hits, had 5 punch outs, 2 walks through 96 pitches in 5 2/3 innings of work. His ERA now is at 4.41, a 4.41 ERA for Julio Urias. And like I said at the top of the show, he's just struggling to get that swing and miss, struggling to finish off hitters. I mean, today as a whole, he ends up getting 15 swinging strikes, really started to cruise. I mean, bottom of the 3rd inning, a 1-2-3 inning on 10 pitches. He gets Reynolds to line out for the first out, gets McCutchen to foul out for the second out, gets Joe to pop to short for the 3rd out. 4th inning, he walks Castro and then gets him on a rundown. 3 tosses back and forth to get him out for the first out. Then he strikes out Sawinski on a slurve that almost caught the outside corner, but he gets the call for the second out. And then 2-2 pitch to Mathias. He punches him out swinging with a 4-seam fastball on the outside corner, dropped down a little bit, and that's when you're starting to feel really good about Julio, when he's trying to sneak that fastball on the outside corner to righties, and he was starting to groove, and he faced the minimum since Sawinski's single there in the first after they picked off Castro. So even that inning, 4th, very economical, 15 pitches, did have the 1 walk, but he comes back in the bottom of the 6th inning, and that's where he got into some trouble a little later. So yeah, he took care of business there in the bottom of the 5th, but bottom of the 6th, 2-2 pitch to Reynolds. He strikes him out looking on a fastball in the outside corner, and once he started kind of locating that fastball, like I said, he was in control, and then things fell apart really quickly. I thought he was going to give you that 6 solid innings. You give 3 runs. Yes, it's not your best start, but still, with an offense like the Dodgers, hopefully you would think that they would give themselves a chance to win, but still, Julio, he fell apart there in the 6th inning. Next batter, a 1-out walk to Andrew McCutchen, and then next batter, 1-2 count to Connor Joe. He hits a 2-run bomb, and the Pirates extended their lead to 5-2, a 399-foot blast over 107 miles per hour off the bat, and like we saw in the first inning, he had 2 strikes on him and just was not able to finish it off. So that's the big issue. I mean, I think for him, as long as he's able to locate that fastball early in the count, I think you'll start to see him have more success with that cutter, with that slurve, with that changeup even. But unfortunately, they were just getting the bat on the ball against Julio today. He was not keeping hitters off balance enough, and he got close, but when it was the time to really get that big punch out with 2 strikes, he just was not able to finish hitters off. The next batter, 1-1 pitch to Castro. He hits a solo shot to left. So there you go. I mean, the home run ball has also been an issue for Julio this season as well. That's definitely not something that you want to see. You want to see him reverse that trend. But yeah, in that at bat, I mean, that's the third time this season that you've had back-to-back home runs off of Julio Urias. And the Castro home run, that was on a 1-1 pitch. And yeah, it's a 4-seam fastball that it's got to be a little low. I mean, what does my friend Dontrell Willis always say? Live low and live long. Well, he's leaving some of his fastballs a little up. He's leaving them out over the plate. And hitters are leaving the yard on them. So that is definitely a concern. And at that point, you're talking about a 6-2 lead for the Pirates, and that was it. I mean, the Dodgers had no answer. They had no fight to get back in this game and try to make things interesting. It just did not happen. But, yeah, I mean, bottom of the seventh, I thought Phil Bickford came in. He did a pretty solid job, I think. And there's a nice rob job there. Nice catch by Trace Thompson out in foul territory in left field. But really, this offense also, pretty much the other big positive today had to have been Victor Gonzalez. I thought Victor Gonzalez, if you want to look at the Michelada half full, Vigon, he ended up going an inning, had 2 punch outs, 12 pitches, 9 for strike. So he was sharp. Phil Bickford goes an inning and a third, had 1 strikeout, gave up that 1 hit, but he was efficient. Those 15 pitches, 11 for strike. So yeah, Phil Bickford and Victor Gonzalez, they came in and they did their job. It was unfortunately the Dodgers offense and Julio that just could not figure things out. A 4.41 ERA for Julio in the month of April, and his 7 home runs is tied for 4th most in the league. So, yeah, Julio, he has to fix some things, man. He's got some work to do this season. We know that he's pitching for a big contract. This is a guy that has his sights set on a mega deal. Well, right now, he is far from that Cy Young conversation. He's far from looking like that ace that we all know. In my heart of hearts, I truly believe he's a 1 or 2 starter. I think really he's a number 2 starter on a World Series contending team. But still, I think, yeah, he's got to get things together. I mean, 7 bombs. I mean, that's 4th most. Last season, he had 23 home runs. So the home runs per 9 was still pretty high at 1.2. This season, though, it's over 2. So, yeah, he absolutely has to correct that part of his game. But what do you guys think the issue is with Julio Urias? Do you think he's looking ahead to that contract? Do you think that he's losing his prime? I mean, what do you think? But, hey, Doug, you think this team lacks chemistry? That's from Alfonso Lucio. I don't think this team lacks chemistry. I think this team truly lacks pitching depth. And, look, I know that the offense, they take a bad rap, especially in these losses, but the pitching has been night and day compared to last season. Last year in 2022, this team led all of Major League Baseball with a 2.8 ERA. They led all of Major League Baseball with a 2.08 opponent's batting average. Their strikeouts, they were 5th in the league. This season, the Dodgers have a 4.73 ERA. It's good for 24th. They have a 264 opponent's batting average. That's good for 23rd. Their 206 strikeouts is 24th. So you're talking about the bottom of the league, the bottom third of the league in most pitching categories. I mean, this team is built on pitching. The success that they've achieved over the past 7, 8, 9 seasons has about consistent pitching, and so far this year, you're not getting it. Julio Urias has not looked like an ace. Clayton Kershaw, last 2 starts, he's been fantastic. He had a couple clunkers in there. Dustin May, he's been inconsistent with his command at times. He's flashed some brilliance, gave him a chance to win in a lot of his starts, but even he's had some bad starts. You've had guys go down. Tony Gonsolin, his command was a little off, threw a little more balls than he wanted to, but I thought it was an encouraging first start back for him. Michael Grove, he's got rocked a couple times. He's on the IL. Pepio didn't even get to make a start so far this season. So the pitching from a starter's perspective, they have not been elite. The relievers, they have not been elite either. They've had their games. You saw when they had 6 scoreless against the Cubs when Michael Grove went down. They were able to finish that game out. But for the most part, the pitching just has not been there, and that, to me, is the root of the problem. That's why they're sitting where they are at 13 and 13. But this is the sacrifice to get Ohtani next year. That's from Abel A. Let me ask you guys this question. I'm going to go heavy on the comments, so if you want me to read your comment, guys, keep coming with those comments, because I'm going to go heavy all comments right now, because we already broken down this entire game. This one is from, so I got the sacrifice from Ohtani. I think that's interesting. I got Don Kim, back-to-back home runs in a is a real thing with the pitch clock. If you had to pick one, which is a greater concern, starting and the bullpen or offense, say pitching, because half of today's lineup was sub 200. That's from Don Kim. We got Lawrence says D-Mac for manager. I don't want to be manager. I want to be general manager, because the general manager, you can pick the players, the president of baseball operations. Bench Mookie. That's from Michael Creo. That is a hot take. That is a fire take. Mookie's my favorite player, but is very underachieving. That's from Maximus and V. Emar, exactly. Let's focus on Betts. WTF. Yeah, the thing with Mookie Betts so far this year is not only is his speed diminished, the power is supposed to be there. He had a nice 2-for-4 game with a home run and the double. Should have had a home run the other day against the Pirates when he was robbed by Sawinski. That would have been a home run in 27 of 30 parks. But still, you need to see him getting it going. And I've been a big advocate of moving him down the lineup, because I think that he would benefit with having some ducks on the pond. Put him in a position where he can drive in some more runs, especially when the organization went out there and sent him to drive line there and had him add 9 to 10 pounds of muscle. So I'm wondering if he would be better off batting down in the lineup and maybe mixing it up with Outman, sometimes batting leadoff and sometimes batting down the lineup. And the same goes for Mookie Betts. But we'll see when this lineup gets fully optimal. DMAC equals facts. What up? I got jams over on YouTube. Jason Diamond, going to be a short season this year because they ain't making the playoffs. Jason Diamond, you guys are bringing fire takes. And by the way, let me just clarify this. When I say it's a fire take, I just mean it's a hot take. I don't necessarily mean I agree with it. But like I said, on this show, hey, this is your show. I'm just hosting it, right? I'm the man of the fan. When it's a hot take, it's something a little controversial, a little spicy. So I love it when you bring that on this show, because they're not going to play that on the radio. They're not going to play that on TV. It's where you get the rough, rugged, and raw here on the Dodgers Nation post-game show. But you still expect Mookie to hit 280. That's from BC. Do I still expect Mookie to hit 280? Personally, I don't even know if him hitting 280 is optimal for what he's capable of at this stage of his career. Because in 2021, Mookie hit 264. In 2022, Mookie hit 269. So far this season, we said his batting average dropped down to 233 today. And in his entire time with the Dodgers, he's really not gotten close to hitting 300. His time with the Dodgers, he's averaging 269. So, yeah, I mean, for me, I want Mookie to be more of a run producer. I want to see more of what I saw last season when he was a little more aggressive on first pitches, and you saw those power numbers start to surge. Last year, Mookie, he had a 533 slug. That was up from 487 in 2021. That was where I wanted to see it. This year, that slug is down to 425. So, yeah, this is going to be a long season. Colin Smith, Betts cost us. Verdugo, Hernandez, Jock Belly, overrated. Colin Smith, I do not think Mookie Betts is overrated. I still think that he provides a lot of value for this team, and I think you're going to see his numbers start to jump, because he has had some slumps during his time with the Dodgers, but right now you're seeing he's just above league average at the plate. Last season, he had a 138 OPS plus, so 38% above league average, but he definitely needs to get on a tear and get back to hitting like the Mookie Betts that we've seen. One theory that I've been formulating is, how is his swing adjusting to the added muscle? Is that impacting him at all? Is the added responsibility of playing shortstop for a few games, will that be an impact if they play in there? Today, you saw him playing second, so it's not a concern at all. But, yeah, I think with Mookie, I think he has to go up there and focus on just getting hard contact and finding pitches to hit, because so far this season, he just has not looked like the Mookie Betts that is a perennial all-star. But I wouldn't say he's overrated, though. I mean, he's still a Gold Glove award-winning outfielder. I still think that, look, he's a couple of really good games away from being a player that's posting elite-ish numbers. I mean, we're so early on the season. You saw Max Muncy's turnaround after he started 1 for 16, and then he caught fire and he was cooking with gas. And the same thing can happen with Mookie Betts. We've seen him go on runs before, and I think that he's really due, and hopefully we'll see it very soon. But really up and down this lineup, save for Muncy and Outman over the weekend and Will Smith early on the year, a lot of these guys have been slumping, and Will Smith is vital to this team's success, and they need him back in the worst way. But, yeah, I think this team, the inconsistency of the offense, it's been tough to watch. And I think a lot of that has to do with just a lack of punch down in the order. I mean, Trayce Thompson, I think his days are numbered, man. I would not unpack if I was Trayce Thompson. And that's all I got to say. Another rough day at the plate. And the thing about Trayce Thompson is he just, unfortunately, he looks outmatched there. I mean, he went 0 for 3, had 3 strikeouts. He's down to 171 on the year. And, yeah, Trayce just continues to struggle. If you look at his strikeouts, I mean, he took the fastball looking in the second for his strikeout. Later in the game, he was way, way out in front on that sweeper, had no chance on that one, and then he struck out on a sinker. So, yeah, I mean, he's just not able to have success against lefties, not able to have success against high velocity, and, yeah, I think his days could be numbered, unfortunately. But here we go. Back to the comment section. Dave Roberts always, what is the biggest reason for the Dodgers' loss today and their recent struggles? Casey Manna, Yency Almonte needs to be DFA'd, and Vesia should be close to one as well. Lousy bullpen so far. Yeah, Yency Almonte, he's another guy that, look, he's very one-hit wonder vibe. And what I always say about these bullpen pieces, they're volatile from year to year. That's part of the reason why you don't like to invest heavily in them early on this season, or you don't want to trade for a bullpen piece early, because you want to see what a guy has and to see if they have it in that particular year. And so far, he does not have it. I mean, in the 2023 season, Yency's got a 9.28 ERA in 10 2/3 innings of work. Last season, he posted a 1.02 ERA in 35 1/3 innings of work. The walks, I mean, the walks are way up, 5.1 walks per 9. The strikeouts are down to 5.1 strikeouts per 9. So not getting the same swing and miss. You're just seeing the command. I mean, he just has no control, no command right now. You're seeing from a mechanic standpoint, not a great amount of consistency and repeatability in his mechanics. And I think he needs to find it. I mean, he definitely, I'm not saying he's a complete lost cause for Yency Almonte, but he absolutely needs to correct some things. And I think, too, there's the mental aspect of it. I think when you're a guy that has been, he never had success, never had sustained success with the Rockies. I mean, look, you kind of have to give guys a mulligan when they're pitching at Coors Field. The only place worse than the DMV. And you kind of feel like, okay, maybe they fixed him, and he's probably wondering, was that a fluke, or am I here for good? Was that for real? Am I here to stay? And I think, too, maybe some of that self-doubt is creeping in, saying, hey, maybe that was a one-year wonder. So hopefully he can turn things around, but he's a guy that was right in that next tier of high-leverage relievers heading into this season, and they're already out Blake Trinan. They're already out of Daniel Hudson. You're missing Evan Phillips and Brusdar Graterol due to paternity leave. By the way, man, what an all-star weekend last year. My man, geez. I mean, is Nick Cannon a Dodger or something like that? Because, man, they tied so many babies, man. Even Cody Bellinger, too. So, yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I think this bullpen, and I've made this case, and you guys have heard me saying for weeks now that one of my big concerns heading into the season was the new rules, was the fact that the Dodgers weren't going to have the shift and benefit from that, and that the ball was going to be in play more. And when you have pitchers that are pitching to contact and trusting their defense, even if you do have really nice stuff, bad things are eventually going to happen. And yeah, this Dodgers bullpen, just like the starting rotation, they have not looked great at all. So it's definitely a concern. Now, I will say on a positive note, the bullpen is an area where you can identify guys during the season. You can go out there and trade for a Chris Martin, for a Zach McKinstry on a 1-for-1. So it's much easier to get some bullpen talent that are either on they're on a expiring deal or something like that, than it is to try to get an impact starting pitcher. But hey, I think the Dodgers at this point, they could use a lot of pitching in general. Another starter just in case someone goes down, another guy that kind of misses bats, and then I think too another reliever could be in the cards. But we'll see when they get Alex Reyes back, when they get Daniel Hudson back, will they be able to perform? So here we go, back in the comment section. Mantis Sleep, nothing. Here we go. Let's go down here. It's literally the same how he took Anderson the NLDS. What the hell was he thinking? That's from DKM. Jason Diamond, this team looks like a Frank McCourt-owned team. Jason Diamond, let me help you from jumping off the edge right there. Okay, comment of the day presented by Hornitos. By the way, I did a whole little mini documentary about the Frank McCourt era in Los Angeles. I call it Frankrupt. because that team was bankrupt. And yeah, the thing with Frank McCourt is he never wanted to go over. He didn't even want to make trades during the season when they could have gotten CC Sabathia to try to get this team over the top. So yeah, I don't know if I would compare it to that era. That team did not want to spend. There was a time when Dodgers players were frantically calling their agents because they feared that their checks weren't even going to clear. So I don't think I would put this in the Frank McCourt territory. You still have a lot of talent on this team, and this team is still invested in a big way. But here we go. Too many holes on this team. That's from Patrick Nicholson over on Facebook. Jason Diamond. This team looks like we got Carnivorous Lunar Activity. Hello, DMAC and Dodger Nation. What up, Carnivorous Lunar Activity? A Dodgers Nation post-game show day one. By the way, if you are new to the show, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, it's very important to hit that notification bell. Hit that notification bell. And also, if you really want to support the channel, smash that like button. We got Boomer Assassin. We are missing Smith and Muncy. Yeah, we're missing Muncy and Smith. That definitely is a factor. Showtime Dodgers fan. Dodgers give Shohei Ohtani $600 million. Yeah, we'll have to save that one. I've talked so much about that. I think at the rate that he's going, Shohei Ohtani is looking at $500+ million. Would it get to $600 million? That is going to be quite a bit, because I think teams, they're going to doubt whether or not he can be a lights-out starting pitcher, which he absolutely is. There's no doubt about that. If you look at Shohei Ohtani on the season, I mean, a 6.4 ERA for Showtime, a .82 whip, opponents hitting 92. He's got 38 strikeouts in 28 innings of work. So, yeah, there's no doubt about it that Shohei Ohtani has been one of the best pitchers in the league. That sweeper that he has a -9 run values. His sweeper is actually the most effective pitch in all of Major League Baseball. So, yeah, hey, it's not my money, so I'd be fine with them giving him $600 million, but we'll see. I think the Mets and Stephen Cohen, if they have a bad year, he might just go scorched earth and just spend some money on such an irresponsible level that maybe he does get them. But, yeah, just getting back to the point earlier about the bullpen, too. The bullpen, they're 27th in Major League Baseball with a 5.18 ERA. And like I said, too, they're not striking guys out. They're 21st in the league with 87 strikeouts in 88 2/3 innings. But fire Austin Barnes. We got Jeffrey Gonzalez. Biggest concern right now, everything. Inconsistent offense, which looked lifeless today. Mediocre bullpen, shaky starting pitching lately. Especially concerned about Urias. Lack of depth that we used to have. A 500 team at best right now. Luckily, the National League West is weak right now. You made a great point there at the end, is that, yeah, it's the battle of mid in the National League West. You're talking about a Diamondbacks team that's filled with a lot of youth, a team that is not expecting to contend, yet they are the team that is in first place right now at 14-12, but in their last 10 games, they've gone 5-5. The Dodgers, they're right at 500 at 13-13, one game behind the D-backs. They're at 5-5. The Padres, 13-13, they're at 5-5. The Giants are only 2 games back at 11-13. So the NL West was supposed to be one of the more competitive divisions in the league. Well, so far, they've been very, very average, very, very middle of the pack. And that Padres team, they did have a more difficult schedule than the Dodgers to start things out, and I think they could figure some things out. But, yeah, even that Padres team that signed Xander Bogaerts, traded for Juan Soto last year. You have Tatis coming back. I told you the pitching was going to be a concern. I told you that the bottom third of that lineup was going to be a concern, and so far that has been the case. So that's why I was never high on the Padres like a lot of people around the league. I pretty much try to watch as many Padres games as I can. Barnes needs to hit from the opposite side. Interesting take. That's a pretty fire take. Big Zai, yes, they are. It doesn't matter if they're below 500. They will turn it around. There's some positivity from Big Zai over on YouTube. Craig Osterberg, Julio is looking like Thor, losing his stuff. Trade him at the deadline. Can you imagine a couple of years from now? Wow, that's a fire take. Very hot take right there from Craig Osterberg. Should they trade Julio Urias? Yeah, I don't expect that, but hey, who knows? If the Dodgers go 15, 20 games under 500, something drastic happens, they suffer a ton of injuries, and they punt on this season, then Julio Urias, he possibly might not be back, and then maybe do you try to ship him off to a contender? I don't even want to think about that. That just makes my skin crawl, gives some nightmare feel right there just considering that. But hey, I mean, everything is possible, but I don't think they're going to trade Julio Urias. I think that the Dodgers are going to, no matter what happens, keep on this team and then try to sign him. And look, if you hate to say it, you hate to mention this, but you guys know that I always try to strive for giving you the facts, and the truth here is that if you want to spin a positive, Julio Urias' ERA being close to 5, and the fact that he hasn't looked like a Cy Young Award winner means that he is going to come at a discounted rate if he doesn't put up a season similar to the one he had last year. Maybe you could get him for $135 million, something like that, and you keep him in LA, and he's going to be sturdy. Like I said, he's not a number 1 on a World Series winning contending team. I think he's a number 2 on a World Series contending team, but I don't think he's a number 1, but still I think that he makes a lot of sense for this team, especially Clayton Kershaw could be gone. You need a lefty. We know Julio continues to evolve. I think for him, it's about getting really in shape, getting well conditioned, adjusting to that pitch clock, and just finding the command, the feel for that four-seam fastball. When he does that, we know that it's not about missing bats for Julio. Even though he can, when he's changing eye levels, that's the thing. When he's at his best is when he's working the top of the zone with that four-seam fastball, changing eye levels, but you can't do that when you're not trusting your command, and you didn't see that as much today, and he wasn't as effective. But yeah, a couple more here, guys, and I'll let, by the way, I don't know what you guys do for a living, but thank you so much for joining me here on a Thursday in the afternoon for this Dodgers Nation post-game show. So a couple more here, and we'll let you go. But Mr. Summer Obe, Julio overthrows at times, especially when he tries the outside of the plate. Mr. Summer Obe, yeah, sometimes he does try to dig deep. He tries to find it, and that's one thing that he does. Sometimes you see him pulling it, and that's why his mechanics, they're so consistent. But like I said, I think just 10, 15, 20% of fatigue and lack of condition, I think, is something that's a factor with the pitch clock. How could it not? The fact that you don't have as much rest in between pitches. Look, I mean, if you're going to the gym and you're doing 12 sets on the bench press and you only take 10 seconds, 15 seconds in between sets, it's not going to be as easy to do 12 reps the same time, right? The next time, you're going to need a little time off in between reps to get that maximum usage. And that is something that pitchers have done for years now, is give max effort. You can't do that as much with the pitch clock. So I think it's going to be adjustment. No one's really mentioning it, but I definitely think if you want to point to something, it's definitely a factor. But I'm going to the game Saturday, Saturday. And I'm going to be in that clubhouse. I'm going to be at that press conference. I'm going to try to ask some of these questions. So if you guys have any questions you want me to ask, let me know. Pirates own y'all from MLTE. Hey, if you're a Pirates fan, thanks for rocking with us. Be sure to subscribe. Big Zal, D-Mac. No, he's a world. D-Mac. No, he's a World Series ace. So he's a World Series ace. Okay. Melty. We got to. Y'all think you Melty from... Okay, you guys are going back and forth with the Pirates fan. We got to get rid of Thompson. I think if you want that, Yuri, your wish is coming sooner than later. Trade Thompson now, Carl, for what? A bag of balls and a used pair of Adidas Superstars? I don't know. I mean, what can you get him for? I don't know. Trace is awful. Adam. By the way, a lot of people early in the season, I said Trace Thompson for IKF. People say, no, Trace Thompson's this. Trace Thompson, he was the story of the year, 143 WRC plus, 13 home runs. I said, nope, this team needs infield depth, and they don't need a star. They just need some help. And, hey, they had an opportunity to. They didn't make that move. We got, at what point are we going to hold Roberts accountable? Yes, he has had great seasons in the past as a manager, but any manager in baseball right now would have been successful with the roster he was given. That's from Christopher Lozano. I think that's such a low-hanging fruit take, and I appreciate your taking. I think that Dave Roberts should be held to a high standard, but still, I mean, Dave has had an offense that it's organizational. I mean, their approach is to slug, and that's where you've seen the inconsistency. They didn't go out there and make very many big signings this offseason at all. A lot of one-year deals, Thor, JD Martinez. The pitching hasn't been good. I wouldn't say that there's moves that you can point to saying, oh, Dave took out a start, Julio Urias or Clayton Kershaw too early. He made a bad bullpen pull, and that's why. No, the bullpen just has been bereft of talent and devoid of talent, and I think Dave is kind of playing the hand that he's dealt right now, and I think yeah, I think ultimately, does that fall on the manager, and are you responsible for the record you put up? I do think yes, but to me, there's no moves that you can point to that say, okay, that's why they're losing. I mean, today, I think one that if you want to criticize Dave, I don't love the idea of Jason Hayward in the 3-hole, but what happened? Today he had 2 hits. He's the only Dodger with 2 hits today. So, I mean, if the Dodgers go on to win this game, you say, oh, wow, that's a move for Dave Roberts. That's something that he should be credited for. Give him another feather in his cap because he gave confidence to a hitter that was struggling. He went out there and had 2 hits. So, yeah, Thompson is a bust. That's from Showtime. Yeah, last year he was a summer fling, but made a good catch. DFA him. He can hit. A couple more here, guys. By the way, that documentary was great. Hey, appreciate it. That means a lot to me, DB Grainer. You appreciate you over there on YouTube. You look comment of the day for that. 81 and 81 looking good. That's from Pound for Pound. Jim Hishunuma over on Facebook. Dodgers has to build a team with contact hitters and speedsters on the base path. Hey, you know, I'm a big advocate for Tim Anderson. Tim Anderson can get his bat on the ball, and he has speed. You can move him to lead off, move Mookie down the order. If you're not going to play Mookie at shortstop, and Miguel Rojas has done nothing. He's been an absolute no-show at the plate. Chris Taylor, we'll see if he can figure things out. So I'm still open to the idea of trading Tim Anderson, especially when that White Sox team is like 7-17. I think you should capitalize and take advantage if they sell some pieces. So I'm still for that. I like your idea. Nando, how's it going, Nando? 390. Dodgers will finish the season under 500. That is a hot take. We got Justin Turner is missed for sure. That's from Big Zai. Look, I mean, JT, you miss him. You miss him at the plate as a producer. You also miss him as a scout. I mean, I saw today, I think it was Jason Hayward telling his teammates trying to scout Al Keller, but hey, man, Justin Turner, one of the best player scouts that there is, and he's a guy that really gave confidence into his teammates and really kind of gave them the keys to a pitcher. I mean, who is that guy on this team? But so far this season, JT really off to a pretty solid start, hitting 274, has a 770 OPS. The power numbers aren't there, 2 home runs, and I still think JD Martinez makes more sense for this team, but still Justin Turner is missed, but I think at this stage of his career, I'm not losing sleep over him being in Boston. But yeah, guys, you know I could spend all day talking Dodger baseball with you, but I got to go. And let's jump back in the comments, do a couple more here, and then we'll let you enjoy the rest of your Thursday afternoon. I know, hopefully that this didn't ruin your day, but let's give them ringworm meds. That's from Mike Saldana. I'm giving that a comment of the day. Mike Saldana, let's give them ringworm meds. That's from Mike Saldana. So that is the Hornitos comment of the day. Mike Saldana, let's give them ringworm meds.
You win.
I'm going to take a shot of this delicious premium tequila, Hornitos. Please drink responsibly. Of course, that's a reference to Fernando Tatis, who's doing that silly dance. How about this? He's on steroids. Who's doing that weak, gritty. No wild card team in the West. We got Cardinals will best San Francisco today. Trade Urias. So interesting. Got some trade Julio takes. We'll discuss that further. Let's give him a couple starts, okay? Let's even get back on track. I have faith in him. I agree, D-Mac. Julio needs more road work. That's from Pound for Pound. Yeah, guys, so a couple more here, and we'll let you enjoy the rest of your day. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. Also, if you have any friends that are Dodgers fans that aren't subscribed, let them know. Even if they're not fans, that'd be pretty cool, and I would appreciate it. But a few more here. Win or lose, still bleeding Dodger Blue, D-Mac, Joe Mama. I love that one, too. That's a comment of the day. Presented by our friends over at Hornitos. Premium tequila. Please drink responsibly. Track meet at PNC. But, yeah, last one here from DKM. If there is one giant gallow at Dodger Stadium for the Padres, so I hope Ha-Seong Kim and his translator are first in line. Okay, so, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Dodgers lose 6-2. They lose the series to the Buccos. They're back in action at Dodger Stadium against the Cardinals tomorrow night. But thanks for joining us here on the Dodgers Nation post-game show. As always, remember, nothing brings us together quite like Dodger baseball. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMAC_LA. And think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.